Hello, Devlin Bishop here with you, and welcome to the St. Patrick's Day special here. We are here so excited. It's St. Patrick's Day, and if you come and catch me, you could get my pot of gold that I leave at the end of the rainbow. Because all gay guys like me are always at the end of the rainbow. Anyhow, and if you're lucky, I'll let you wax me shillelagh and kiss me blarney stones. Okay, that's enough of that. I can't do that all show. Yes, St. Patrick's Day. I have a jaunty hat. I'm also Canadian. And I don't have many green shirts, but I like this one, so I put this one on.
It looks like
And here is the fair lass, Corta, which sounds very Irish.
sure.
Corta o' Shenanigans is her name. The topless goblin. I don't know goblins. Are goblins? Yeah. The words goblin and topless probably will give us an X. But yeah, I don't even know. Are goblins Irish? They're green.
No, I don't think so, but
All right. So first of all, I should put out a warning that if you are Irish, you will probably be offended.
that's way too late. They're already there.
Yeah. Of course, if you've laughed, then stay with us because it won't get anything worse than that. But we're going to have a lot of fun. Now, the reason I decided to do this is because I love celebrating holidays. And there's a few that, like, we decorate the house, like Valentine's Day, Halloween, Christmas, Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
But then there's a couple that we don't do much at all. But I still sort of celebrate it. Like, if I go to work that day, I'll wear a jaunty hat or some green.
Mhm.
And I fill my, well, not fill, but I put my, Irish music in the mix so that I might hear some Dubliners or U2 or Boomtown Rats, the Cores, Thin Lizzy, Damien Rice, the Pogues. They're Anglo-Irish, so they count.
Okay.
And then I have a couple of like funny ones, like a great remix of Lucky Charms
Yes.
that I put on my Facebook. So after this, if you want to go check it out, there will be a couple of Irish things on there if you want to continue celebrating here. I also have a Dennis Leary song, which is called a traditional Irish drinking song, which is very offensive but awesome.
Yeah.
And the one thing I don't feel too offensive is because there's memes that always go around that say that Irish people don't get offended by anything. That's why we still have Lucky Charms and stuff because they can
Oh,
take a joke.
okay.
Yes. So anyhow, uh, yeah. So when we decorate, I'll show you how we decorate here. Okay, I'll show you. This is literally the only decoration we have for St. Patrick's Day, and we put them out about maybe 2 weeks beforehand, and he'll probably stay out probably 2 weeks after because, well, we don't get to see him too often. I fell in love with this leprechaun when I went to, I believe I got it at Michael's, and it was on discount. And I just loved his face and stuff. And, it's funny, you go to the dollar store and stuff, and they have all this green stuff. And as I said, I have a couple of hats and stuff. But the decorations, they don't have much, and I've never found anything I love so much. So I did a photo shoot with him. That's where our thumbnail came. And I always put it up on Facebook. And the reason I feel the need to celebrate is I like celebrating anything. Because to me, life should be celebrated. And I am actually a quarter Irish.
Oh.
You know, on my mother's side, I'm 100% German. She was East German. I'm German. And she was as German as you got. But my dad always said he was kind of a Heinz 57, that his heritage has a little bit of everything. And the four he knows of for sure are British, Welsh, Scottish, and Irish. So I'm technically a quarter Irish. So, yes. Now,
Well, then happy St. Patrick's Day.
there you go. I was just going to ask you, Corda, are you any Irish in you?
I don't think so.
No.
I think there's probably some Scottish in the ancestry, but
Yeah.
if there's Irish, I've never heard of it. So, but everyone's Irish on the 17th.
Yes, and they do say that. That's a very, famous saying. That and "Kiss me, I'm Irish." Though that's probably canceled by now. You can't just
Yeah,
go up.
probably.
Well, not just by the woke people, but because of the pandemic, you can't just go and anybody you want to just because you're Irish. Um, but I'm sure there's a couple of goers out there still. Um, now that's all I celebrate. I put my leprechaun out,
Yep.
get some songs in the rotation,
Mhm.
and then I wear a jaunty hat to work,
It's perfect.
and that's it. Because I don't go out partying. I know a lot of people who love going out and partying and drinking green beer. And it's funny because if you go to Mondo Nostalgia, I try to put a couple of things in it.
Mhm.
And I always put the recipe to green beer, even though it's pretty straightforward and I could probably do it myself. Because it's basically food coloring.
Yeah.
But you'd be surprised how many people have decided this is a recipe. But you know what? To show you how naive I am, I just assumed you could take any beer and put green food coloring in it. But it's actually got to be a light beer.
I guess
And
that makes
I
sense.
feel
Yeah.
I feel embarrassed that when I actually watch these, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Because there's a
that
lot
makes
of
sense.
dark beers and that just wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Now, you'll have to check my site for the recipe I put up there, because there is actually a liqueur you can put in that actually mixes with the beer and will make it green. It's like a blue liqueur, which
Oh,
blows me away.
okay.
So, yeah, for all more great recipes, check me out on the Facebook Mondo Nostalgia. So, anyhow, this year with the pandemic, and we're like a year anniversary in the pandemic, because if you remember, St. Patrick's Day was the first holiday that was canceled last year,
Yeah.
and a lot of my alcoholic friends were so upset and stuff like that. I mean, my friends who enjoy a drink.
Yes.
No judgment here.
No.
I really got to stop. Well, there's a couple of clips we could make later. So anyhow, I decided let's go out and just have a St. Patrick's Day shenanigans episode,
Yep.
and we'll talk a little bit about St. Patrick's Day. I'm already spent pretty much what I'm going to say. So thank you and good night. No, um, I am going to actually talk about, if you're in the mood, you can watch some Irish movies. And I've got a list of Irish movies that I have seen. And I am surprised that I've seen so many, but there are so many other ones that I haven't seen, and big name ones too. I'm a little embarrassed.
Okay.
But we'll go over those a little later. But first, I was looking into the history of St. Patrick's Day. And if you're looking for a detailed history, you're not going to find it here.
Yeah.
But what I was surprised to find out was a couple of things. Number one, this has always been a big day in Ireland, but it became international in the 20th century. And that's where a lot of the things became manipulated, as in, apparently, leprechauns don't necessarily wear green. In fact, some of the early stories, they wear red a lot.
Oh.
So the whole, you got to wear green, leprechauns wear green. That's all North America. That's all North America. And it may now be adopted by other countries, including Ireland, but that's all just kind of stuff we made up. I'm assuming the green beer too, unless that's a thing in
Probably.
Ireland. We have any Irish people that haven't been offended and have walked away? Please tell me in the comments, and tell me, is that a thing? Like, was green beer brought over here? To me, that sounds North American. So basically, they homogenized a lot of stuff. Another thing I learned, four-leaf clovers are not Irish.
Oh.
Shamrocks are Irish,
Okay.
but four-leaf clovers are not. I don't know where they are. I think they're just,
Ooh.
yeah. And so that blew me away. So,
Yeah.
you
No
know,
wonder they're so rare then in Ireland.
yeah, apparently they're even rarer because if you, yeah, but they claim that shamrocks, and shamrocks do look a little different, even though this one does. No, that does look different then,
Yeah,
because it's got like two heads, two heads, two heads.
yeah,
For Clover is just yeah.
yeah.
So that's what I learned, and we did the McDonald's thing. So we already talked about Shamrock Shakes,
Yeah.
and you already know that Cord and I are not running out to get one today. But I did go to McDonald's earlier this week, and they do sell them still. So for those of you for looking for minty fun, I wonder if you could do like a beer float
Ew.
with green beer and like a scoop of Shamrock Shake in there.
That sounds horrible.
Where are my old barf bags? Yeah, I don't like the idea of root beer floats. I remember trying one and being very sick to my stomach, um, way a long time ago. But I don't know, maybe beer people like that minty ice cream. And for more recipes, check Mondo
You just
Nostalgia's
know
Facebook.
people are gonna try it now.
Pardon?
People are probably gonna try that
Oh,
now. They'll all
please, please, if you guys try it, you have to let me know.
oh
Please
yeah,
let me know. If
yeah.
I was an inspiration. Of course, after this, I'm going to go on YouTube and there's probably recipes for it. Oh, you know what's good?
But we
Anyhow,
still came up with it without that. So
I'm going to guess Shamrock Shakes are a North American thing.
probably
I'm not saying they don't sell them in Ireland, but I'm just saying that sounds like something we would make. So,
yeah.
anyhow, I'm very. Some people think I don't have an ego because I have mental health issues, but I keep looking at myself in this hat and I think I need to wear this a lot
It's
more
a
than St.
fantastic
Patrick's Day. I actually enjoy wearing a nice hat every once in a while, but I'm really enjoying how I look like in this.
It's
I
really
almost wish I had a full leprechaun garb. All right. So we're going to talk some Irish movies today. In case you feel like you're disappointed you can't get out to the bars, I don't know if there's any restaurants or bars that are open. I know some are allowed to be open, but for those of you who decide you're just going to stay home, and watch some stuff, I've got a handy list of some Irish movies that I'm going to recommend. Yes, I do like all these movies. I just checked because I got to put some on there. Now, there's some huge ones that I strongly recommend. Some of the bigger ones that I did not see
okay.
are stuff like Daniel Day-Lewis did a couple, My Left Foot and In the Name of the Father, which are both Irish films.
Okay.
Angela's Ashes, which is yeah, it's a very big movie. It was based on a very famous book. And Michael Collins with Liam Neeson, also a very big movie, and a comedy called Walking Ned Divine that I always wanted to see but just never got to it. So those are the ones, and there's a lot more. Definitely check YouTube.
Mhm.
You just Google Irish films and you'll get a lot. So again, you might be offended by my choices, but these are movies that are either about Ireland or have something Irish in it. So it only makes sense to start. We'll start with the probably the most St. Patrick's Day movie here, and then we'll start follow it with the least St. Patrick's Day movie here, and then we'll just hit a whole bunch of Irish movies.
Okay.
So we'll start with a movie you and I watched last year, Darby O'Gill and the Little People.
Yes. That was fun.
I picked this up. It's a Sean Connery movie and lots of Irish people.
Yep.
And I didn't know what to expect with this. I always remember seeing the trailers because when I was a kid, my dad used to take me to only Disney films in theaters. And I remember not going to this one, but we wouldn't just go see the classics. We went to see like the Apple Dumpling Gang and Swiss Family Robinson and
Yeah.
Candle Shoe and Gus and the computer wore tennis shoes. But I don't know if they repeated Darby O'Gill and the Little People. Now, I can understand why. It is an acquired taste. I am really glad I saw this movie
Yes.
finally. Um, it has a sweetness to it,
Mhm.
but it was a little weird. And if you look up the history of it, Walt Disney was obsessed with this story and he wanted to make this Irish movie for a long time, and it eventually came out as Darby O'Gill and the Little People. I guess it's a book or a fable. Again, if you're Irish, yell at me and tell me what the truth is. But Walt Disney went on a big kick because he visited Ireland, and ever since he visited Ireland, he was like, "Oh, we got to make something in Ireland." This movie, I don't think it did very well at the box office. I could be wrong.
Mhm.
I believe it is on Disney Plus if you want to check it out.
Okay.
So if you own Disney Plus, you can.
Yeah.
The thing I remember most is the leprechauns were kind of. Do you remember much about this movie?
Not a lot.
Yeah, I remember it was about like this old drunkard that was desperate to find leprechauns. And he finally found them. And I remember it was like this world of leprechauns.
Yeah.
But he basically, to get his three wishes, he had to sell his soul and he was never going to leave.
It's something like
Does
that.
this sound familiar to you?
Yeah.
And then he sells his soul kind of thing, but he escapes and tries to find what's that called when you're trying to get out of a contract? A
A
loophole.
loophole. Yeah.
And yeah, and it's got its charm, but I wouldn't say it's high up on my Disney favorites. But I can say one thing: it's got a very young Sean Connery, pre James Bond, and whoa, sorry, Sean Connery was a looker in James Bond, but he's really good. And if you ever want to see John Connery, if you ever want to see Sean Connery sing, he does warble in this one. So yeah, so he's added to famous Bond actors who have sung.
Yeah.
Um, Timothy Dalton sang in that awful Mae West movie, Sextet, and Pierce Brosnan sang in the Mamma Mia movies. So if you want a night of James Bond sings, there you go. You have a couple more. I'm not sure on George Lazenby or Roger Moore. I'm sure he must have sang on some.
Probably.
But anyhow, we're astray already. So that's my first pick. It's probably the most Irish leprechaun-y thing here. Um, and I sort of recommend it. I will probably
Yeah.
watch it again.
Yeah.
I'll probably regret it, but I thought it was charming.
Yeah.
I thought it was charming. So we'll leave it with there. So we will get to some more Irish films, but this is the least Irish film, but I've added it here because I have a feeling that a lot of people will run to this movie first and they'll say, "Oh, that's Irish," but yeah, sort of. It's Excalibur, the John Bookman directed movie that came out around 1982, 1983. Now, Excalibur is a English folklore, isn't it? Like the,
Yeah.
well,
King
not
Arthur
folklore.
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, King Arthur. Well, this is supposed to be one of the best adaptations. I saw it a long time ago. I really should see it again. Have you ever seen this one?
I don't think so. No.
You'd probably like it because you like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is considered the most authentic.
Okay.
The reason I added this to the list is it is on some of the lists because this apparently was one of the most important films in Irish movie making history because they filmed in Ireland and it became the movie that got people to film in Ireland. Like,
Oh. Okay.
and it also introduced the world to like Liam Neeson has a debut in there. Patrick Stewart, a couple of other people that apparently I didn't write down, but there's a couple of people who make their earliest appearances in it. I know Patrick Stewart isn't Irish, but Liam Neeson is.
Okay.
But yeah, it's an important film because apparently it's beautiful scenery and it got people starting to say, hey, that's a great place to film stuff and tell Irish stories. Not saying that there wasn't Irish movies before that, but apparently this was a groundbreaking film for Ireland. See, I did some research for this. So this is going to be in no particular order. In fact, some of these movies I was actually surprised were Irish. Okay, maybe two. Maybe two. So anyhow, I'm going to start with one of my all-time favorites, The Commitments. You have seen this one.
I have, but I don't remember it.
Yes.
It was
Um,
a long time
I
ago.
love this film. This is a feel-good film, and I actually love a lot of Irish movies that have music in it, as you will see in my list. The Commitments is one of my favorites. It's basically about an Irish group, I believe, in the 80s or 90s. I think it takes place then. I could be wrong. And they decided that they're going to put together a group that is going to sing soul music because it's very different. Because Irish people don't sing soul music. So they learn a whole bunch of songs and get into it and, have to lose their accents in some ways. And it's just a very funny film. It's very touching at times, but this is just a really great film. Alan Parker just did a great job with this movie, and the soundtrack is incredible. In fact, the group itself actually toured after this. It wasn't the whole one because it was a big band, but a lot of them got together, got some other musicians. I actually went to see them in concert,
Oh, cool.
and it was really great. And I think there was only like maybe three of the actors in it at that time. But if you listen to the soundtrack and you like soul music, you will love this. And there's no new music in it. It's all old standards, but done by this amazing group. It's just great songs like Treat Her Right, The Dark End of the Street, Try a Little Tenderness, Mustang Sally. Oh, it's a great soundtrack. I think there were two soundtracks. And yeah, and I was honored to go see them. Even if it was only just a few of the actors, but yeah, it's great. And I think one of the actors was not even one of the musicians, but he was a musician in this group that was touring. I think he was the bodyguard, who's absolutely hilarious in this.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely check it out, The Commitments. Yeah, I'm gonna try to change it up to give you some variety. Um, Another movie. This actually has a sequel, but I've only seen the first one, and I really liked it. The Boondock Saints. This is an action film that I remember. Well, I do remember a lot about, but I'm trying to remember the essential story. And if you look like I'm looking like I'm not paying attention because I'm trying to look at what it's about. You were absolutely right. But we did put Shenanigans. We told you there would be. Okay, so this is directed by Troy Duffy, and it's a vigilante action film. And it's about a couple of Irish brothers who basically go and try to kill people
Oh,
for money. And it's actually an awesome action packed movie. I've never seen the second one, but the thing that makes me laugh about this movie is the two actors that star in it are like as the leads is Sean Patrick Flannery, who's done a lot of great work, and Norman Reedus. And if you're a fan of The Walking Dead, you know him as Daryl Dixon on that show, and it's great because he gets to like get into his full Irish on. But what I always remember about this is the action's good, the storytelling's good, but the one character played by Dufault, William Dufault, I think he plays like a cop or something that's trying to catch them. But I would recommend this movie based totally on this character because I want to say the character is like sort of a cross dresser, but not really. But he gets more and more weird as the movie goes, and I do believe you see him in drag. And if you can picture William Dafoe, not the prettiest woman, and if anybody's out there saying, "What movie is he talking about? This isn't Boondock Saints," I'm pretty sure it is. And I would recommend it strongly on that. But everybody does a great job. I don't know why I've never seen the sequel. I even think I own the sequel. But yeah, so if you're looking for an action packed movie, this is a good one. I really recommend this one. This is a lot of fun. Okay, this movie Oh my God. Let's get it out of the way because people are going to yell at me for this movie because it's probably America's version of Ireland. And
Uh-oh.
it's a movie I absolutely adore called Far and Away.
Oh, yes.
Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. It's basically it was a big blockbuster movie about Irish immigrants coming to America. That's pretty much probably how Irish it gets. But to see Tom Cruise giving his all, I
Yeah.
actually think he does a pretty good job. The one thing you could always say about Tom Cruise is he never mails it in.
Yeah.
He may not be 100% perfect for a role, but you can tell he's always doing his hardest.
Yeah.
I actually think Nicole Kidman is really wonderful in this film. I think she is so beautiful in this. This is one of her first films. I actually really find this an entertaining film. You saw this movie,
I
didn't you?
did. I don't remember it very well, but I do remember I saw it. Can't remember much
Did
about
you
it.
watch it with us when we watched at the end? They basically, no, it was at the beginning where they said the year when this took place, and we
Yes.
realized that it was the anniversary. Like
Yes.
one day when
Yeah.
this movie took place, we were actually watching like the 100-year anniversary
Yeah.
of this story.
Yeah.
And, or
And we had
I
no
don't know if
idea.
this is a true story or not, but
Yeah.
the immigrants coming over, and we were like blown away because we just randomly put it on and it was great. But anyhow, I'm going to recommend this, even though, my Irish ancestors are probably rolling in their grave. So they probably died before this movie came out, so they don't know. Look, I have a leprechaun. Anyhow, that makes it all better.
Yep.
Okay, for you people who like older movies, there's a lot of movies about Ireland, and I remember seeing this with my dad when I was a kid. Don't remember anything about it, so we won't talk about it, but I'm going to recommend it because it's really the only older movie I have on this list. It's The Quiet Man with John Wayne. And this again is about an Irish man who is trying to make it in the world. Yeah, that's all I got. Um, Let me look it up because I want to pay somewhat of a tribute to it. So professional. It's a 1952 American romantic comedy, and it stars John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara. She's lovely. And I think he plays Irish in this. I think he plays a fighter who's looking for just a normal life. This is a wonderful film. I wish I remembered it more, and I hope I can find a copy of it because I would like to watch this movie. I like to see more John Wayne films. Um, and most of the ones I've seen, he's basically always a cowboy in it.
Yeah.
And I know he did military ones. I know he did other ones, but I'd like to see him. One, because I can't picture John Wayne doing an Irish accent, so I want to see if he can actually do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, for you people who like the classics, The Quiet Man, I forgot this one was Irish, and I love this movie, and I think you saw it, but you probably don't remember it because I know you don't have a good memory when it comes to this. Do you remember Circle of Friends? Minnie Driver and Chris
Sounds
O'Donnell.
familiar. Yeah, I didn't know that was Irish.
Yes, if you remember, I believe it was about a Irish boarding school.
Oh, okay.
And remember Minnie Driver? It was one of her first movies that introduced her. And if anybody knows me, I am an absolute huge Minnie Driver fan. And at the time, this came out around the time of Batman Forever. I was a really big fan of Chris O'Donnell, too. So it was directed by Irish filmmaker Pat O'Connor. I always want to say it in an Irish format. And I believe this is kind of a romance between a girl who was kind of dowdy and stuff like that. And he comes in to this Irish thing. But the whole place takes place in Ireland. And I really need to see this movie again because I
Yeah.
remember I've seen it a couple times and I got the warm fuzzies from it.
Yeah,
And I had to add it to the
don't
list.
remember anything about it really.
But you remember seeing it?
I did definitely see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a Minnie Driver is just, I love her. And I am so glad because I remember when I came out, I think I even went into it because of Chris O'Donnell.
Probably.
having the hots for him after seeing him as Robin and his bat nipples. And I decided that I'd go see it. And then I remember coming out thinking, boy, I hope that Minnie Driver goes on to stuff. And of course she did.
Yeah.
Uh, even, movies that I love even more than Circle of Friends. So this is one I may have to check out too, because I think it'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
This movie is about Irish gangsters. So I guess it qualifies, even though it takes place in Boston. It's
Okay.
on the list, and it's an Oscar winner, and it is one of Martin Scorsese's best. It's The Departed.
Oh, okay.
Leonardo DiCaprio, great cast. Matt Damon, Jack Nicholson, Mark Wahlberg. This is an incredible cast. I think this is just technically an Irish film because I think the villain is linked to the Irish like mob kind of thing. I don't like talking about that kind of stuff. But I think it qualifies. And when I put in Irish movies, it was in there. So because this is one of my favorite, probably one of my favorite Martin Scorsese movies. Don't get mad at me because I won't say it, but I have missed some of his big movies. Now, I did see his movie from a couple years ago called The Irishman, but I wasn't a big fan of that movie. And so if I have to choose one, even though The Irishman maybe has more Irish stuff in it,
Probably.
I don't think so. I think Departed just has about the same. So if I had to choose, I would go for The Departed. But technically, they both count. So I'm not going to stop you if you want to watch that. Here is one. We're almost to the end, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Um, this is a movie I strongly recommend, and you're going to hear the one I'm saving for the end because it's probably my favorite Irish film out
Okay.
of these. Is he directed that one too? But we're going to talk about this one first. The director's name is John Carney, and he directs really incredible movies with music in it. And this one is Once. And this movie, I think, won the Oscar for Best Song. It's got an amazing soundtrack, and I'm gonna tell you the actors because I just feel like I haven't gotten some names wrong in a while. So let's get some Irish names wrong here. Anyhow, Once is a wonderful movie. It is about two struggling musicians in Dublin. They get together and fall in love. And at the time, uh, they actually used this couple that was in love, and the group was named Swell Season. And they just took them and put them in this movie.
Oh.
Their names are Glenn Hansard and Markita Iglova. And I apologize to Irish people and them if they are watching. And this movie did win the Best Original Song for a song called Falling Slowly. So this movie basically took real musicians that were in a group together who were in love. And they filmed this movie about two people who meet and fall in love while they make music together.
Oh.
Now, the thing that makes this movie even more incredible, and this movie was a big hit, and it even became a Broadway musical. And again, the soundtrack is phenomenal because I believe, well, they are real musicians.
Yeah.
And if you listen to Swell Season, you'll hear some incredible vocals and just amazing. But the thing that really makes this work is although this song is about two people kind of falling in love, even though they know they really can't fall in love,
Okay.
is the marriage, or I don't know if they were married, but they were actually breaking up
Oh.
during this, and you can almost feel the tension between them. And that's what really adds to this movie
Oh.
is that you can tell that they have a connection, but you can feel that it's a little off. And I think that's what makes this movie amazing. And I strongly recommend you see this. In fact, there's three music movies. I've already talked about The Commitments, Once, and the one I'm going to save to the end. I strongly recommend if you want to do an all-nighter of Irish movies that are This one is the most bittersweet out of the three. There is not as much humor in the commitments and the other one I'm going to talk about, but it's such a beautiful movie. And I strongly recommend this movie. And it's definitely a little something, and it takes place in Dublin. Uh, and I strongly recommend it. This next movie, I actually forgot, takes place in Ireland. And it's a movie I have not seen in a long time. I think you went to see it with me. A movie called I Know All There Is
Is
to
that in
Know
Ireland?
About the Crying Game.
I didn't know that was Ireland.
Are we going to get hit with that?
No,
That awful rendition? Do you think we're
no.
going to get. Because we make millions and I don't want that to
Oh
happen.
yeah.
The Crying Game is most definitely
Oh,
takes place in Ireland, and I totally forgot. And I really like this movie. You
mhm.
went to see this with me, right?
Yeah, I saw it with you. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember it was 1992 it came out. We went to see it.
Mhm.
Um, there is a big twist in this movie that probably everybody knows by now.
Probably.
But I actually figured out the twist, but it didn't ruin the movie for me. I figured out the twist because of something having to do with the Oscar nominations.
Oh.
I watch the Oscar nominations, or at least I used to. I don't do it as much now,
Mhm.
but yeah, and something kind of gave it away. But basically, it does take place in Ireland, and it's about a man who falls in love with a very mysterious woman.
Oh.
And that man is Stephen Ray, and the woman he falls for is Jay Davidson. And I know everybody probably knows because sadly, this is a very serious and sensitive movie. And it's sad that it almost became a joke
Yeah.
because when the secrets started coming out, yeah, people would make references to the crying game almost to like bully people or mock people.
Mhm.
And I hope it doesn't scare you away. And I really need to revisit this movie because I
Yeah.
remember really liking it. I remember it was very hard to watch at points. I don't know. Do you have any recollection of this movie or what your feelings were towards
Not
it? Or
really. The few things that I keep thinking, I'm not even sure if it's that movie that I'm thinking of. So
yeah,
yeah, it's little bits
see,
and pieces.
because this was around the time in '92, I believe you were just starting to come to the movies with us.
Yeah.
And we were really opening your mind to different stuff. You know,
Yeah.
your parents were showing you Disney stuff or family friendly stuff. And
Yep.
we're blowing Corda's mind. Not that it's a shock that her name's Heather.
No.
But we're blowing her mind with these movies. And for those of you who know what the Crying Game's about or don't, this would be a movie to blow your mind
Yeah.
because we're taking to these challenging movies, and this is a challenging movie,
Mhm.
but it had a lot of Oscar nominations. I don't know if it won any of them. Let me see. Along okay, okay, I think it won Best Original Screenplay,
Nice.
but it was up for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor for Stephen Ray, and they had a Best Supporting Actor, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Because I'm old school, even though everybody probably knows what the finale is, and it's not even the finale.
I'm just gonna
It's
say that's not
revealed,
actually the end of the movie.
right, it's revealed early on in the movie,
Yeah.
and it's sad that Jay Davidson only was in a few movies.
Mhm.
He gave up acting, and it's too bad because I thought really wonderful performance
Yeah.
in this. But the more I talk about it, the more I'm getting closer to revealing it if I didn't just do it. Yeah, I'm old school. I still won't ruin Psycho for people because I think there's a younger generation or people like I never got around to seeing Psycho. And
Yeah.
yeah, everybody knows the ending, but I still like to believe that
Yeah. It's
we
nice.
live too much in a spoiler society
Mhm.
that nowadays it's horrible. You see something like WandaVision and you're trying to hide from it and you just open up your Facebook and everybody's
It's every.
revealed the secret.
Yeah.
So So I will not reveal the secret of the crying game, but it's got a great song in it that I was very obsessed with. I like the original Dave Barry version, and I also like the Boy George version that they use in the movie. And it was a great song. I was going through some dark times then, and so that song was just
Yeah.
nice. I don't even play it that much anymore, so I need to put it back in because that's a great song. But anyhow, we're going to end with my favorite movie in this list. And that says a lot because I really do like The Commitments and I love The Departed. But my favorite Irish movie happened a couple years ago, and I just did a Misunderstood Movies about it. It's Sing Street. And if you have not seen my Misunderstood Movies, please go check it out. I posted it this week in honor of St. Patrick's Day. And I am happy to say I've already got a couple people that have put it on their watch list. They never heard of it. And that's what my whole Misunderstood Movies is about. I do not know how in the heck this movie doesn't have everybody talking.
Mm-hmm.
Sing Street is absolutely magical. It has a wonderful cast. I'm going to try to ring it up here. It's directed by the guy who did one, so it didn't really surprise me. um, the cast is, oh, I get this name wrong all the time. Ferdia Walsh Pilo, Lucy Boynton, Aidan Gillen, and Jack Rayner, to mention a few. This movie is such a wonderful movie with rich relationships and character development.
Mm-hmm.
It's about a young boy who meets this girl who is an aspiring model. Now he's in high school. She is too, but she's a couple years older than him. He's smitten with her, and when he finds out she's a model, he decides this takes place in Ireland in the 80s. He decides to win her heart. He's going to make a band and create a music video that she will star in. The problem is he doesn't have a band. He plays a little bit of guitar and that's it. So he finds a whole bunch of misfits who form this band and they make this god awful video that she decides to join in. Now, it is a love story between a boy meets girl, but there is so much more to it
Mm-hmm.
because there's a relationship between the two brothers that is amazing. And he basically teaches his brother when he, like, the brother loves music, and when he hears the band, he's like, okay, good try, but that's rough. And what he does is he keeps giving the boy homework, which is albums, to get them to find a new sound. And now the brothers have a storyline, but the real love affair comes as this boy and the band start finding their confidence, and this fake band just to meet a girl starts actually becoming a real band. And with every album, the brother says, now you got to listen to this, now you got to add soul to it, now you got to do this. With every album introduced, you see the band growing and what they take from it. But you also see the music maturing, and this has got a phenomenal soundtrack. Not only does it have original songs that the group Sing Street, that is the name of the group, which is the name of, I think, the name of where the school is, and they decide to use it,
Not
I
sure.
want to say. And I should know, I've seen this movie like 3, 4 times. I've done a Misunderstood Movies. I'm talking about it now. Damien and Devlin have reviewed it. And I've introduced it to so many people, and I don't think any of them have told me you made a mistake. But not only does the original soundtrack great, it also has a soundtrack of 80s classics that just adds to this movie. And if you're looking for a feel good film, one that'll make you want to call your siblings that you haven't seen in a while, or one that makes you want to find your passion in this world, this movie succeeds in it all. It's as magical as the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Your thoughts on Sting Street? I know I
I
forced
love
you.
Sing Street. Yeah, Sing Street's
You
fantastic.
enjoyed it?
Oh yeah, definitely. I love
Yeah.
the song. The original songs in it are wonderful.
Now
And
you
like,
collect musicals. Would you
yeah,
consider this a musical?
yeah. It's
You
one of
are?
those ones that's kind of a little bit like a musical and a little bit
Yeah,
not.
there are a couple of music numbers in it where
Yeah.
it looks like a music video because it takes place in the 80s. There are scenes that look like music videos. So, do you own this one?
Yeah,
Yeah, I thought you would because this is a great one to have in any musical collection.
definitely.
So I put it on my misunderstood movies, and I had a couple people already saying, "Oh, this sounds awesome." But it sounds like they never heard of this movie, and everybody should. I believe they did make a play about this, and if they didn't, I wouldn't be surprised. Let me take a quick look.
Yeah.
If they did, this movie should. Yes, there was a stage adaptation.
Okay.
I'd really like to see that.
That'd be neat.
I don't know if it did good or not. Oh, interesting. It was supposed to make its Broadway premiere on in 2020. So
Oh.
I don't think it happened.
Oh wow.
It did play in Britain for a couple of months, but
Okay.
it was supposed to open in March 2020, which would have been a year ago,
Yeah.
which is, I believe Broadway was one of the first places to close. So
Totally.
I don't think Sing Street has had its Broadway debut. So I would love to see that one,
Yeah, that's cool.
just to see if they added more music to it and stuff.
Yeah. They probably.
Anyhow, we're going to wrap things up. So I want to just say that I had a lot of fun. I wasn't sure. I just thought it'd be fun to celebrate, and I hope we've made you smile. Hopefully, we haven't offended your Irish roots. Of course, you wouldn't be here if you've already been offended.
Yeah.
And I hope you do something Irish today, whether you're Irish or not, whether you have a nice green beer or whether you watch some Irish movies, or if you go and put on a U2 album, or some Boomtown Rats, or the Dubliners, or the Irish Rovers,
Dance a jig.
whatever. Pardon?
Dance a jig. You know.
Yeah, dance a jig. That's what Corda will be doing, topless a little later.
Of course.
The topless goblin. I'm gonna start that. That's my new Irish tradition. I'm gonna. All right, so whatever you plan to do, do something Irish. Even if it's just going to get a damn shamrock shake at the drive-thru at McDonald's. Be Irish today. Be Irish. Thank you, Corda, as always, and thank you for watching. We hope we helped you celebrate St. Patrick's with a little shenanigans. Next week, we should have some guests, and I'm really excited about that. I won't promote it too much just in case it falls through, but they are coming soon, and I think it's next week. So I think we may have a couple of guests. So, yeah, for those of you who tire of just me and Corda, we'll have other faces here too. But thank you for watching. You don't know how much it means to me that you press play and give us a little time in your day. Anyhow, thank you, and we'll see you next time.